You all ready?
Ready? Yeah.
Born ready. Hi everyone, we've got a short practice today which is low, pretty low to the floor. And it's got to focus on core. So John is going to be helping me out today. We're in the same household, so we don't need to social distance. Let's start by coming on to the floor with our back to the floor, knees bent, soles of the feet. Have the feet a comfortable distance away from you. We're just settling into our practice, allowing the back to settle. So allow yourself to arrive. It's fine to have eyes closed here. Feel the rise and fall at that abdominal belly space with your in and out breath. Allow that belly to feel nice and soft through the inhale. And then as it descends through the exhale, let it continue to descend a little more by a light engagement of pelvic floor and low belly muscles. And then release and relax that off for your next inhale. So already we're starting to wake up some of those abdominal muscles. But remember, when we're talking about core, it's not just abdominals, it's also around the sides of the torso and the back as well. We need that balanced strength, mobility, all the way around. So again, with each exhale, maybe you're just exploring a little more deeply that inward, upward scoop at the low belly, the engagement of pelvic floor, and then softening that off. Feel that you've come into a steady, rhythmic, comfortable breath for your practice. And then I want you to be aware of the pelvis, of the low back space as you extend those legs straight. So we get rid of that knee bend, extending those legs straight out. Yeah, notice that shift in that pelvic alignment there. And continue to be more active through the end of that exhale, pelvic floor and low belly. We're going to start to get into some abdominal strengthening work here. So reposition your hands so you're interlacing the hands behind the head still to the floor, and the elbows stay wide. So when we come into these abdominal lifts, we are not using the hands to pull the head up. We are sinking the weight of the head back, okay? So take an inhale here, fire up your legs, have those feet hip distance apart. And then as you exhale, draw those abdominal muscles inward, upward, and allow that back of head and shoulders to rise from the floor. But feel it's coming from the abdominals. The inhale is releasing slowly back down again. So you retain some light engagement throughout, through pelvic floor, low belly, more so. Feel it ripple up the front of the torso through the exhale, and then that slow release back with inhale. Couple more times here. Slow and controlled, no momentum. It doesn't matter how high you're lifting, it's what you're feeling. And then next time you lower down, stay down, take a couple of resting breaths there. Momentarily release those hands away. So resting through the shoulders. Yeah, take any releasing wiggly movements through the head, through the shoulders. Come back to that breath awareness. And then we're going to pull that right knee up towards the body, foot lifted away from the floor. Not your maximum pulling in, okay? So maybe that 90-90 hip and knee on that right side. Reposition the hands as you had them. So hands are behind the head once more. Fire up that pelvic floor, low belly as the extended left leg, the heel just clears the floor. Feel how it tilts that pelvis slightly. Take an inhale here. And then as you take that same lift by engaging your abdominals, maybe the knee pulls a little bit closer in. Come back to that knee over hip on that lifted right side. Left foot stays hovering. And twice more as we draw in, engaging those abdominals. Asymmetrical this time in terms of the movement of legs. Exhale, final lift. That controlled release down. And then heel finds the floor, that right foot finds the floor, right leg extends out. Take a resting breath there. And then setting up on that left side, starting with that 90-90 position. Fire up pelvic floor, low bellies as you float that right heel just to clear the floor. And then on that next exhale, ripple that engagement up the abdominal muscle, up that abdominal chain as you exhale. Knee can pull in closer by engaging hip flexor, and then you lower that torso, knee floats back to align with the hip. Your breath, your movement, just 3 times. Control that final descent. And then extended leg heel moves down, foot to the floor. Release those arms. And then sweep those arms skyward and take a big body stretch, reaching heels, reaching arms away. And then as the arms return to the sides, you can float them a little away from the sides. We're going to wiper the knees a couple of times as we bend those knees, feet wider apart from each other. And just a few breaths of wiping those knees to side to release those abdominals from the work we've just done, because they're not done yet. And one more set to each side. Gaze can be turned away from those knees. And then we'll keep the knees bent, but we might not want them as bent as deeply as those knees return to the center line. We're going to be doing some roll up, so you might have to play with the distance of those heels to sit bones. You can see, if you're glancing to camera, you can see where John thinks he might want them. So sweep the arms to the sides of the body with palms facing downward as you exhale. And then the arms sweep overhead with that inhale. As the arms start to sweep back overhead, start to tuck the chin. It's the same roll up you did when you had those elbows bent and wide, rising up to that seated position, and then from there you reach and open up. Sweep the arms wide as you move into a forward fold, so maybe you're lifting the toe line. And then you sweep wide and high again, extend and lengthen. Tucking that tailbone as the roll down as those arms come forward ahead of you, one vertebrae at a time. Tucking the chin, and then the back of the head lands. The inhale is the arms sweeping overhead, and that is our sequence. No momentum, nice and slow and controlled. Take your time. Maybe you're grabbing the back of the legs to help you reach up. Maybe the hands are to the floor at some point. Reaching through that inhale. And then the arms sweeping wide as we just take a little bit of a tip forward. If your knees are well bent, you might find it easier to do this with the feet a little further. And then sweeping skyward again, that roll down. Arms overhead on that inhale. Enjoy it. Very controlled, slow movement. Notice at the point you may need some extra support, maybe hands to the floor, to the thighs. Changing the distance of heels to sit bones will change the experience considerably. And then sweeping those arms into that fold. Sweeping skyward on inhale, we're coming to that last repetition. Rolling down. Maybe each time you're letting those legs extend a little further away. Your practice, your choices. Arms overhead with inhale. We're not done. Final roll up. Engage those legs, engage those abdominals. Controlled movement. The sweeping skyward on the inhale. And then from here, we're going to extend that left leg, and those hands are hugging across that right shin bone. Tall and lifted on inhale. Wake up the extended left leg as we move into a twist, a counter stretch movement with your exhale. Stay there for an inhale and stay for the exhale. Coming out of that twist with your inhale. Releasing that leg, we can swap over to other side. So hands interlace, pulling that weight further forward, maybe extended leg, knee is soft. And then drawing that low belly in as we rotate into that twist and then holding that twist for a breath. Staying for the exhale. Come out of that twist with inhale. And then find your way onto all fours, tabletop position. We're going to do some cat curls from here. So find that spacing, knees under hips, hands under those shoulders. Space for the spine. And then on your next exhale, tuck that tailbone under, round that spine, tuck that chin in. Ripple the inhale from that pelvic tilt, space at the belly, space at front ribs as front body lowers more to the floor. Open the chest as the shoulder blades activate, lengthen away. Tuck that tailbone, ripple that rounding of the back from tailbone all the way down through crown of the head. And again, start from that pelvis, work your way up the spine, engage through the shoulder blades. Again, back muscles are contracting to open front body in that cat dip. And one more time as the front body starts to contract from pelvic floor, low belly, rippling up the abdominals to give that space through the back of the body. One more time as we ripple that movement up. And then with your next exhale, come to neutral. Okay, so notice how you have to engage those abdominals a little, hugging up into the body. Pelvic alignment for that tabletop position. Yeah, nice. Shoulders gliding down. As you next inhale, right leg reaches behind with foot to the floor, toes are tucked. Reach out with that heel, find that length from heel to head. Option for left arm to lift up with palm facing in and thumb skyward. Stay for the inhale, back leg lifts, heel in line with hip. And then as you start to round the back, the knee bends. If arm is lifted, elbow bends, and you draw them towards each other. Knee towards chest. Inhale is that reach out again. Remember that hand lifted is an option. More important to control that movement. So the breath coordinating that movement, reaching away with your inhale. Drawing back in through exhale. A final reach away. If hand is lifted, it lowers, and lower that knee to the floor. Tabletop position still. Check you're engaging the muscles through that abdominal space. Next inhale, left leg reaches in line with hip behind you with toes tucked. Wake up that leg, really power through that leg. Optional right arm lifting up. And then with that next inhale, left heel lifts. And that exhale is curling in. Slow, steady, controlled movement. Work with your breath. Leg drawing in, rounding back, optional opposite arm lifted. 3 times, final time on this side. Finish with that stretch out and away. And that controlled landing of knee, landing of hand if it's been lifted. And then from there, lift yourself up to high knees. Hands can come to that low back sacrum space. Engage hamstrings and glutes as we start to lift front body skyward. Neutral through the exhale. Option to interlace the hands behind the back from neutral position. We're moving dynamically in and out of it, John. And then the next inhale, drawing and lifting through that heart space. Neutral spine through exhale. And one final time, hands to sacrum or interlaced hands with those hands reaching down as that heart lifts up. Releasing out with that exhale. And then from here, you're going to work along the length of your mat. So you're facing sideways onto the mat for gate pose. So stretch that right leg out. Neutral hips will be, hip on that right side will be toes facing same direction as front body, but externally rotating might feel a little nicer, your choice on there. So arms releasing to the outside of the legs on both sides. And then as you gaze left, that left arm rises into lateral bend with your inhale. As you exhale, the arm comes away to that left side parallel to floor. As you take that reach away from you on that exhale. Feel the work the side body does. And we'll take that another couple of times. Inhale into that lateral stretch. And then as you come out of that, take that tilt over to that left side. Push out through that right foot. Feel the work the outer thigh is doing on that extended leg. One more time as you inhale. Reaching away with that exhale, and then this time that maximum reach, and then the arm lowers, fingertips find the floor. And then you can start to ground the hand as that right foot floats up away from the floor. Yeah, back foot, that left foot, swing it a little further to that right side. As you inhale, that top right arm sweeps up, and you want to lift and stretch and open right side of the waist. Really open leg and arm away from each other. The foot line may dip a little. And then as you exhale, that top arm comes to the side of the body, and you're moving that right hip towards armpit, contracting that right side of waist. Couple more times. Bottom left side of the waist in contraction as we open up the space. The line of the lifted right leg can lower. And then the leg lifting a little higher as we contract that top right side of waist. One more time as we inhale. One more contraction into that exhale. And then we can land that foot down to the floor. We're going to transition into a side plank, forearm side plank. So lower that left hip down to the floor. We'll bring that elbow under line of shoulder. Start with legs extended straight in the same line as the torso, so no hinging forward from the hips. John's going to show a couple of options. You could take that bottom leg and bend it so that foot comes behind. Again, keeping those knees stacked if you can. Or you can have both legs extended, but sort of staggered so that top foot is forward of that bottom foot. Or you can work with both legs, ankles, feet stacked. Your option. So lifting through that exhale, floating the hips near the floor as the arm again lowers to the side of the body without touching floor. And we're going to take that lift 3 times. So it was the same action in the gate pose, more demanding with that plank position through hips, through legs. As you've taken that final time, as you lower, control that releasing hip to the floor. And then the knees bend and they come forward of the line of the body as we move up. Right hand can grab ankle or foot, taking that side stretch there. Just staying there for a breath. And then as hands come forward, you can reposition for gate pose on the other side. So that left leg is going to be extended out. Maybe instep in line with that left knee. Make sure on that right side you've got hip over the line of knee, vertical thigh bone. And then arms are releasing down the sides of the legs. Left arm rises with that inhale into that lateral bend over that extended left leg, right arm lifting. And then as you exhale, you come into that reach to that right side. Feel the muscles that work all around the core to support you. And again, on that inhale, stretching through that right side. As you take that lateral bend, feel the contraction through left side of the waist. And again, as you move out, it's that reach over to the side. Push out through that extended left foot. One more time as we move into that side stretch. Fire up that stability. Use that extended leg too for support. And then the fingertips coming all the way down to the floor. And then as that foot floats up, reposition that grounded knee side, swinging the right foot a little further to the left side. With your next inhale, that top left arm sweeps overhead. Maybe the line of the foot lowers as we stretch left side of the waist and contract right. And then we move that other way. The arm sweeps to the side as we draw hip towards armpit, contracting that top side. Keep that going with your breath, slow and controlled. Final reach. And then transitioning into that side plank pose, releasing foot, releasing hip to the floor, coming to that forearm. Really use that push down through the forearm to lift up and create the space through that shoulder. And then those same options as before. So whatever you worked on the one side, working that for the other side. The exhale draws you up into that lift. That arm can extend overhead. And then the hip coming near the floor without touching down to floor. Controlling the movement. Keep that strong line of energy from hip to heel. And with that third lowering, control, float that hip down to the floor, and then the knees bend forward of you, torso upright, take that ankle grab, and take that counter movement side stretch. Just staying there for a breath. Well done. And then transitioning once more into your tabletop position. We're going to work same pose again, that cat movement, taking that undulation, that articulation through the spine. And you can build it up in the same way, feeling that develop with that pelvic tilt, rippling up the spine as you alternately round through the back with your exhale. And then dropping front of pelvis gently down to open front of body. Awareness following that movement with your breath. With your next exhale, as that back starts to round, allow those hips to be sent back towards those heels. Take a few resting breaths here. So allowing the head to be supported may mean resting on stacked fists, or you may have some blocks, supports, cushions. So you can allow the neck to release and relax, relaxing through the shoulders. And we're going to start to transition to a focus on that back body strength. Again, part of that core support is strength in that back side of the body as well. So moving on to the front of the body, stretching out for Sphinx poses, forearms down, parallel to each other. They can be under the shoulder line, or you might want them even further forward. So we're in Sphinx pose, John. Yeah, great. So maybe not as high up as John. You maybe have those hands a little further forward. It'll be more of the ribs down, whatever feels nice for you. But it's fine to have those vertical upper arm bones. And then as you inhale, that gentle lengthening of the front body like you did in your cat. Staying lifted up, turn to gaze over that right shoulder with your exhale. Return to center on that in-breath. Left side with your exhale. Returning to center. Another to each side. Wake up your legs, pelvic floor, low belly, so you're creating more space in that low back. So we're priming it, preparing it for some more back strengthening work to come. The inhale takes you back to center after that left side. And then lower yourself back down, sliding the hands further back, the elbows reaching behind, lifted away from the floor. We're preparing for cobra. So we're not pushing directly down with the hands in our cobra. We're using our back strength when we lift up. Again, before we lift, light up the work through the thighs, all the way around front, sides, and back. Pelvic floor, low belly, firmly engaged. Glutes might start to activate too, but think about hamstrings as well. As you inhale, slide the shoulder blades down the back. Feel you're stretching and reaching that chest forward, and that you're dragging that energy of the hands back behind you. Tuck the chin as the exhale lowers you back down again. We're going to work 2 more breaths, so the option to continue to work dynamically up and down with your breath, or you might want to stay and hold that lift and focus on how you can better support that low back. Remember, this is upper back arch we're aiming for here. What maximizes that sense of space through that low back as we lift and strengthen that upper back. Releasing through exhale, elbows coming wide, stack the hands underneath that forehead as we take a few resting breaths. You can turn the head to the side if you wish. You could have arms down to the side if you wish. Or we've got those elbows wide, forehead resting, so head is in a neutral position. We're going to take another variation of that back strengthening work. So with the head in neutral position, forehead down, start to draw the hands to the sides and then fingertips facing behind you. Flip the hands so that the palms are facing down, so those thumbs are outward. Feel how that can help engage those shoulder blades, even though we haven't lifted that head yet. Shoulder blades gliding down and hugging in against the back body. Wake up your legs, activate low belly, pelvic floor. With your next inhale, reach that chest forward, reach the arms back by lighting up the work through that shoulder blade area. Option to stay lifted for 2 more breaths here. How can you better support through that pelvic floor, low belly? Work your legs. Really firmly ground through the legs. It'll help lift you, as will your inhale, your final inhale. And then that slow, controlled lowering again. Those hands can support under the head. Well done. Strong back work. We're going to move into an extended child pose to release that back. So hands coming under shoulders. Take your time moving into that. If you feel you want to stay stretched out a little longer before you take that extended child, be there. Connect to your breath. And in that extended child pose position, invite that sense of space through the back. Let those muscles find space, find length. Steady breath. From here, just lifting the torso upright, low kneeling if that's okay for you. And we're going to start to take a sideways undulation through the spine. So we've already had lateral bends. I quite like to do this from this position with the arms to the side so the chest feels more broad and open. We're building it up from the base of the spine all the way up, that gentle articulation. Eventually the head rolls to the side. And then build it up from the base of the spine into a gentle side bend, eventually the head dropping over to the side to feel the stretch through the side of the neck. So an undulating gentle movement. I often think of the action a snake makes as it sort of undulates back and forth. Just bringing a bit of fluidity back through the spine, back through the muscles, both sides of the back. And then moving towards stillness. We're going to transition onto our back for some releasing shoulder bridge. Again, just to open up and articulate that spine, all the muscles through the core, bringing some movement. So we'll be working dynamically, lifting and lowering from here. Set up in that position is the feet relatively close to sit bones, feet parallel in hip distance. Back of the head to the floor, give yourself some light support under the head if you need. Back of the neck clearing floor at all times. Arms to sides of the body, soft belly as you inhale. And then as you exhale, you can tuck that tailbone under. Feel the low back press to the floor as you peel the pelvis away. And then vertebra by vertebra, gently lifting up. Stay lifted for the inhale and feel how lungs filling creates that sense of expansiveness through the front of the body. Maybe you feel it even lifts your hips a little higher. And then as lungs empty, let it carry you back down. So starting to lower one vertebrae at a time, allowing that spine to release down. Engage hamstrings and glutes for that tailbone tuck so you feel the low back hit before that pelvis, and then level out that pelvis as you rest there through inhale. Again, the exhale, tuck that tailbone, light up hamstrings and glutes to float the pelvis, and then come back to that sense of that C, S-shaped, snake-like wave action. So you can enter into that once you're lifted up, taking a gentle sway. You might want to let your feet come a little wider. That might feel a little more stable for you. You might even want to let the arms float a little wider, because we're changing that center of gravity with that gentle undulation from side to side. And then allow yourself to move down. You could try and keep that gentle sway as you snake that spine back down to the floor. Or if your brain is hurting with that, maybe you're just lowering down and just moving in that lift. So when you're ready to tuck that tailbone under and lift the pelvis, as soon as the pelvis is lifted, maybe you start to take that snake action to slowly snake yourself slowly up. So play with this. Again, we're just starting to bring some gentle movement back in, a sense of ease, a sense of space. We're playing. So make sure it feels okay for you. Snaking yourself back down again. And then next time that pelvis lands down, it can be nice to hug those legs in towards you once that pelvis is grounded. And again, from here, you might want to take some gentle rocks from side to side, whatever feels right for you at this point. We're going to be moving into a pose of relaxation. So decide what that looks like for you. Maybe legs are extended. Maybe it's better to have knees bent with support behind them so the legs can really relax. Space of those arms away from the sides. But you don't have to be on your back. You might want to be on your side. Taking a nice, full, smooth, steady inhale. Let those lungs fill, fill, fill. Fill a little more. A brief pause. And then let it go. And maybe it's nice to take that another couple of times, really feeling that with each sigh you are letting go of your practice. So valuable time when you let the body rest. And you let it incorporate the benefits of your practice. So stay in your relaxation for as long as you wish. No rush. Take your time with it. Give yourself that time. But we will leave you here. Thank you all for your practice. Namaste.